All right, English 301 for spring semester 2020. I am Dr. Hopkins. I will be your professor for this class. You can call me Dr. Hopkins or Brother Hopkins, whichever comes out easier. All right, I got my paper I'm reading my notes off of. Sorry about that. Okay, so you're in English 301. What is the purpose of this class? So it's a research class, so finding research that matters and that connects to your audience. But also practicing academic writing, figuring out how to tailor your message to a specific audience. And then another thing I really care about is figuring out how your own spoken voice, the way you naturally express yourself, and your written voice, the way you write, how those voices are connected to each other, what's kind of the difference and overlap there. So the main thing we do in my class, the way I kind of work it to help you be better writers, is to have you write as much as possible and then show that writing to other people and see how it works, and then revise that writing and then turn it in or do it again and again. So write things, show it to people, see how it works, and then fix it. We just do that over and over again throughout the semester as much as possible. So, okay, some nuts and bolts for this class. I have two sections. I have one at 10:15 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and one right after at 11:30 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I've combined these sections together in Canvas. So in discussion posts, you'll see posts from people you don't recognize. They're just from the other sections. So that's what's going on there. Okay, I mainly use the inbox on Canvas to communicate. I've sent you this link through an email. This is the last email that I'll send you for the rest of the semester. So make sure you're checking your Canvas regularly. You might want to download the app if you haven't already. I think it's called Student Canvas. So when you come to my class, when it's time to think, oh, what am I doing for Dr. Hopkins' class, go to the modules page or the home page, scroll down to whatever week it is, and all the assignments that are due that week and all the resources you need to do those assignments will all be available right there in Canvas. I try to make it so you can get to everything in as little as 3 clicks, usually only 2 clicks. So make sure you're doing that. A lot of the readings are going to be online and available, but I do want you to go buy this book. It's called The Mad Scientist's Guide to Composition. So the author's name is Weinstock. So when you go to the bookstore, look for W-E-I-N. And find that book. It's pretty reasonably priced. I think it's a pretty fun book to read. So we'll be reading that whole thing. Unless you are already my English 150 student and you've already read this, then just come talk to me and we'll figure out what to do. So come talk to me about that. We're going to be in classroom Smith 263, so that's a computer classroom. There will be computers available for you to just get in and sign in and use those. We do a lot of writing in class, so you will have to have a computer. You can either use those computers that are available in class, or you can bring your laptop, whichever. But writing on phones and writing on tablets isn't going to work out, so make sure you have access to a computer. Okay, this video is a supplement to the syllabus. So I want you to go read the syllabus. There's some good stuff in there, including an extra credit opportunity. So make sure you go read that. Okay, that's nuts and bolts. Attendance policy. I do really want you in class every single class. So, if you're kind of person who doesn't want to show up to class, this may not be the section for you. I want you there. I'm going to take attendance every day. However, because of COVID and all that kind of stuff, I can't force you to be in class, so I can't make attendance mandatory, but class is more fun if you're there. And I have 2 things where you have to be in class to get the points for it. We'll talk about those in a little bit. The main thing, my attendance policy, is what I call a grade bump. So if you have 5 absences or fewer throughout the semester, you qualify for what's called a grade bump. So that means if your grade is something like 88.5, normally you'd get a B, but if you have 5 absences or fewer, then you get the A in the class, right? So your grade gets bumped up to the next level of whatever it is. If you have the fewer, then whatever, five or fewer absences, right? The main important thing is just talk to me. If you can't make it to class for whatever reason, even if you just don't feel like coming, just let me know. Just be in contact with me. I will be understanding, and I'll try to make things work as much as possible. But I want you in class. We do a lot of valuable in-class activities and stuff that are really going to help you be a better writer and to learn a bunch of stuff. Okay, my class is set up so it's pretty impossible to kind of just not show up and then make everything up at the end. I do have a policy where you can turn minor late work in until week 12, and then after that you can't. So I've had students say two things, that my class is the hardest easy A they've ever got or the most challenging easy class they've ever taken. And I feel like that's a pretty good description of my class. If you show up and you do your work and you turn it in on the due date, whenever it's due, and just whatever it looks like, you're going to get a pretty good grade in this class. You're going to be absolutely fine with your grade. If you're not showing up and you're not turning things in, it's going to go south really fast. So just be in contact with me if things start going hairy and you can't turn things in. Just, we can work together. But the main thing I want is that I want you there and I want you to just turn in your work. So there you go. All right, so the major assignments that we're going to do, we have three major assignments and then two other ones that are considered major. But anyway, okay, so the first assignment that we're going to do, oh, you know what, let me tell you this first. So for each essay of the major essays, I have what's called a first attempt and then a final attempt. So usually, the units are about 4 weeks long. So halfway through, you'll turn in your first attempt of the assignment. That means you're turning it in as if you were turning it in for your final grade. But it's not graded. So it'll say 0 on the grade book, but it's really important because it's worth a lot of points later. So, but here's what happens is you turn in that first attempt, I give you feedback. So I'll record a video where I read your paper to you and tell you here's what's going right and here's what's going wrong. And then you'll use that to revise your paper and then fix it and turn it in for the final attempt. And then for the final attempt, I give you a grade for the whole unit, right? Where, so 70% of your grade is just the completion grade. Did you turn in the first and final attempt? So if you turn something in on both times and it's the worst thing ever written, you still get a C on the assignment, right? But then I've got 30% where I can tell you how well you did, and we can work that out that way. So that's to incentivize you to just participate in the writing process, to turn in whatever you've got, revise it, and work forward to turn in the final attempt. Okay, so 3 assignments that we've got. The first is a personal narrative. So what we're going to do with this one is there are 2 essays, one by Amy Tan, one by Gloria Anzaldúa. One's called Mother Tongue by Amy Tan, and the other one's called How to Tame a Wild Tongue. So both of these talk about ways in which language becomes kind of a problem in their lives, or it becomes really salient as a thing that's like something you need to pay attention to. So you'll read those essays and we'll discuss them in class. And then your personal narrative is to write about a time when language has created some sort of difficulty or it's become really present in your life. I give like 6 examples of things you can write about. So look in the assignment sheet for those, or we'll go over those in class too, of possible stories from your life that you could talk about. So that's the first assignment, personal narrative. Second is called, it's kind of a complicated assignment. It's called the baby science essay is what I've ended up calling it. So, so what we're doing is taking the tiniest baby steps into science writing. So we're going to be using the introduction, method, results, discussion, structure of science writing, or the IMRD format, we'll call it over the course of the semester. So here's what you're going to do is you're going to pick a category of thing, right? So let's say I have LPs, right? So I have vinyl records, right? So here's one, this is Summer Like the Season. So for example, you're going to find 10 vinyl records or whatever, a category of thing, 10 things inside that category, and then you have to come up with 2 criteria to judge each of those 10 things on. One of the criteria has to be objective, so that could be something like price or weight or something that can be measured objectively. And the other one is subjective, so like how much you like it, or how likely you would be to buy it, or how it makes you feel, or something, I don't know, right? So some sort of subjective criteria. So one objective, one subjective criteria. You're going to plot those out on a graph, and then you're going to write in the IMRD format about your experience doing that and what you learned from it. If that sounds complicated, it kind of is, but we're going to work through it step by step, and all that kind of stuff. So, baby science, that's the baby science paper. Okay, the third essay that you're going to write is actually 4 essays that get combined into one essay, and it's called the Object of Interest Exploratory Research Essay, or the OOI essay. OOI stands for Object of Interest. So, for this one, so I've got another video explaining all of this. This is another, it's kind of complicated as an assignment, but the main premise behind this is that it's a research essay, but rather than starting with an argument like, you know, marijuana should be legalized, or obesity is an epidemic, or, you know, whatever other argument you want to come up with, and then going to the internet and finding both sides of the argument, and then, you know, looking for support on, like, that's one way to do an argumentative research kind of essay, and I think that very much limits the way that what you can discover as you do it. So I want you to go through a system where you can actually come up with cool discoveries and find information that you're excited about sharing with your audience. So the way this essay works is, the OOI essay, is that you're going to pick an object or a food from your life that means something. So for example, let's say I want to write about this Summer Like the Season vinyl record. You've got 4 mini essays that can get combined into one. So the first is a personal narrative about this. So I could tell you the story of the night that I went to this concert. I saw Summer Like the Season, and I bought the record, and I talked to the lead singer of the band, and it was a really cool experience, right? So the next one is research about it. So the next essay, I would research, who is the band? Where did they come from? What's their type of music? And then this is where you really get to discover and kind of follow rabbit holes, right? So they call themselves, I think, like art pop or bizarro pop or something like that. So I can see, what are other bands that are like that in the genre? How long has that genre been around? What are some of the conventions of it? And then just whatever I find, you know, I can think through whoever is the artist that drew this artwork. I could go do research on them. Or, you know, they have a song called Raptor, and let's say that's my favorite song from the album, and so I can do research into the word raptor and where that comes from, and birds of prey or something. So you're allowed to just kind of follow your own level of discovery and see what you find, and then if you feel like it's meaningful and coheres to that, you can present that in your research section. The next is an experience. So what you'll do is, on purpose for this paper, you'll go do something. So let's say I take this record, and I gather 4 of my friends together, and we all sit down and we listen to both sides of the record, all 45 minutes, and then we all talk about what we liked and what we didn't like. That could be an experience. Or I could take the record to the top of the stadium seats, and I could throw it off and watch it smash on the ground, or I don't know, something, right? You just have to create an experience where you interact with your object again. And then the 4th section is, what you do is, once you've written the first 3 sections, the personal narrative, the research section, and the experience section, the hope is that you'll have discovered some theme, some bigger idea about your object, that something like shared experience, right? Or this idea of shared experience. If I were to write this paper, I might end up talking about that. I don't know. The thing is, you don't know what your big idea is until you've written the other 3 sections, and that's what's kind of frustrating and scary about this assignment, is you don't know what it's going to be about until after you've written it. Right? So that 4th section is where you just kind of shoot in the dark and think, what are the themes of the other 3 sections? Right? So then you write those 4 and you turn them in. That's your first draft of the paper. From there, we take those 4 sections and we revise them, and whatever the theme ends up being, we pretend like that was always the theme, and then we revise the whole paper so that everything in the paper points to that theme, and it feels like a really cohesive paper at the end, where you pretend like you always wanted to talk about the theme that you didn't discover until the very end of it the first time through. Again, if that sounds complicated, it is. It's kind of frustrating. It's not an easy paper to write, but we just follow the process, trusting the process, and at the end, I promise you will end up with something that you will feel way more proud of than just a regular research essay. So that's the OOI essay. The last thing we'll do is 1 minute final spoken argument in class. So we're going to practice this a lot with one of the activities called Vote with Your Body. And then at the end of the semester, you'll be responsible for standing up and presenting a 1 minute argument, and we will all evaluate each other. We'll have forms created and stuff like that. So this happens on the second to last day of class. I don't remember what day that is. I should have wrote it down. But here's the thing is you have to be present for that to get the points. So I a lot of times have students where their parents buy them plane tickets home before the end of the semester. You have to be present that day. So don't let your parents buy you a ticket. It's the second to last day of class. It's not even the last day of class, which I think is the 18th, but don't quote me on that. I'm not totally sure. So you have to be there for that. And then at the end of the semester, there's also 2 final reflective essays you have to do, or one's an assessment for people who take English 301. Everyone who takes it has to take that. And then a final reflection essay about the semester. I do a lot of reflection writing in my class, you're going to find. Okay, so as far as then, that's all the major assignments. So then the minor assignments, there's one, and it's actually due right now. I want you to do it before the semester starts. It's called Resilience Predictions. So what I want you to do is think through what are some things that might get in your way, obstacles that might make this semester really hard for you, and some possible things that you can do to overcome those obstacles. So you'll kind of predict what might be hard this semester and write about it. And I want you to do that before you come to class, the first class on Monday. So as soon as you're done with this, go find that assignment and turn it in. Let's see. Okay, the next things that we do, we have reading logs and video lectures. So again, we've got Mad Scientist Guide, we've got some other readings that we'll do, and then some video lectures. If you were in my 150 class, again, talk to me if there's any kind of like overlap or redundancy, and we can figure out what to do there. Another thing that we do is email etiquette scenarios. So 4 times through the semester, I will give you this kind of like really awkward email situation. You're going to pretend that you're working in a corporate environment, and you'll have to write an email addressing a specific situation. If you were in my 150 class, these are all brand new situations, so don't worry about the overlap there. So after that, I'll record a video reacting to what you've written, and then you will write a reaction to my reaction. So there's the email scenarios and then the email reactions. That'll make more sense once we get there. We're going to do a thing called quote integration practice, where in class, this is one of the ones where you have to be in class to get the points for it. I'll put a quote from a passage up on the board, and you'll have to read it and figure out what are they saying and then react to their ideas. Agree with them, disagree with them, and you'll have to write it as if you were writing an essay. We'll just write it in class, and then we'll see how well you did in class, what you could have done better. And then the very last thing is called Vote with Your Body. This ends up being one of the favorite things that students do during the semester. So what we do is you will be responsible at some point for writing a statement that goes up on the board. So some examples are things like chess is a sport, or video games make you stupid, or we should get rid of the grade system, the A through F grade system in college. We should abolish that, or something like that, right? Just where it's like a statement where it's polarizing. You can either really agree with it or really disagree with it. And so what we'll do is we'll stand up out of our seats, and then in the classroom, you stand, one side is agree, one side is disagree, and you'll stand kind of in that spectrum. If you really agree with the statement, if you really disagree with the statement, and then from there, we'll just call on people and see what your thoughts are about that. So that's a pretty fun thing we do throughout the semester. Okay, that's it. That's everything you will do in my class over the course of the spring semester of 2022. If you have any questions, let me know. Send me a message through the Canvas inbox. And I'm looking forward to it. Spring semester is usually kind of laid back, and it feels good, and the weather gets warm, and it's nice. So looking forward to it, and we'll see ya.